What's going on, guys? Noah Jai from the Geek Week here, and we are back with another video. It's become commonplace for anime adaptations to be revived or rebooted, whether it be to complete a story that the original did not have available to adapt, or simply for quote-unquote a better anime. It's nothing new to us anime fans, but are they always worth it? Today I just wanted to rattle off a few animes that have either been adapted twice or more than twice, and if I prefer the original or its successor. At number 7, I want to just get this misconception out of the way. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood definitely gets the nod over its 03 predecessor, but it's not from some gap in quality. I assume people who say that just weren't around watching anime in the early 2000s because it was fantastic. I mean, it simply just caught up to the manga, and it was common back then to have filler endings in those days, you know, like they just made up an ending and called it a day. That was the end of the anime. Some were more episodes than others, as we'll see as we get further on in this list. Yeah, I'll definitely give it to Brotherhood, but the original Full Metal is very good in its own right. At number 6, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. For those only familiar with the anime beginning in 2012, JoJo's has a ton of OVAs dating back to like 93. The original JoJo's OVAs, while I don't mind them, are very much products of the 90s anime scene, and by that I mean they're naturally much darker in tone. While I think a ton of anime benefited from this dark edginess of the time period, as we'll see later in this list, I don't feel JoJo's is one of them, as I think the newer adaptations really bring out the unique art style and overall wackiness of the series. You know, I think that's what JoJo's is all about. And the newer adaptations really do a better job of bringing that to the screen. These next two, I realize I might be the only one who feels this way, but fuck it, it's how I feel. At number 5, we have Dragon Ball Z over Dragon Ball Z Kai. As a child of the 90s, I mean, nothing to me is going to replace the original 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. That's filler included. I mean, it's a part of who I am. I mean, there's not much more to be said about that. Moving on. At number 4, we have the original 92 Sailor Moon over 2014 Sailor Moon Crystal. Now, I can't even cap. 90 Sailor Moon, especially what we got in the US on Toonami and stuff like that, was so far away from the manga, like it damn near isn't even Sailor Moon, but I absolutely cherish it. Like, from the art style to the humor to the outfits, OG Sailor Moon is always going to have a special place in my heart. P.S. I actually fucking hate Crystal's art style too. It creeps me out, just creeps me out. At number 3, we have Baki. Now, Baki actually has an OVA from like 94. That's him in his fight versus Kosho, which is good, but his hair's like black for some reason. I'm referring to the 48 episode adaptation from 2001. I loved and still love this adaptation. Unfortunately, it doesn't get quite as far as the later adaptation would, but still, these 48 episodes have certainly stood the test of time, and I feel it's the anime at its absolute best. At number 2, we have Hunter x Hunter. Now, it'd be downright impossible for me to not give it to the 2011 adaptation of Hunter x Hunter. It not only adapts most of the series, it does a phenomenal job doing it. Let me just say this. If you remember what I said earlier about 90s anime generally having a darker tone, Hunter x Hunter is definitely one of the animes that benefited from this. Being a story that's generally darker in tone, the time period was perfect for the story. But alas, much like Full Metal, it caught up to the manga and a filler ending was made. Side note, Yoshihiro Tagashi, author of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho, has well-documented health issues, which have been the cause of unprecedented breaks in the manga. Luckily, he has his wife to help out. Who's his wife, you might ask? Of course, it's Naoko Takeuchi, of course, the author of Sailor Moon. Just a little fun fact for you guys. Thought I'd throw that in there. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the 1997 adaptation of Berserk over every other attempt at Berserk. 3 movies, 2 seasons later, and still, the 1997 anime stands as the pinnacle. Many people have referred to Berserk as unadaptable, and I couldn't disagree more. 97 Berserk is one of my favorite animes of all time, and it leaves out damn near 60 to 70% of the story. I mean, if you don't believe me, just read the manga. It ultimately boils down to 2 things: understanding the most important aspects of Berserk, and secondly, understanding what an adaptation is. Many people will tell you artwork is what makes Berserk great, and I'm not delusional. Kentaro Miura is one of the best artists I've ever seen draw a panel, but it's simply just not that. For anyone who's read the story, you know damn well Miura is a poet as well. I mean, the character writing is the single most important factor in the story, and Miura spares no expense making every relationship, every heartbreak, every betrayal feel real. These characters are real. Far beyond the scope of just 3 main characters getting all the spotlight in Guts, Casca, and Griffith, down to understanding characters like Corcus, who is unbearable at first, but we come to know is a man who gave up on his dreams and despises Guts because he's a man who won't. Or even Farnese, finding her sense of self-worth. Character writing in Berserk is some of the best I've read in any storytelling ever in any medium. The 1997 anime understood this. While it may have sacrificed story elements due to time and budget, by no means did they sacrifice character building and development. And that's why it works. Secondly, as I said, understanding what an adaptation is essential. It falls on a director to know which elements can and can't transfer over to another medium. If you honestly expect an anime to have animation on par with Miura's artwork, I mean, you're just bugging. Like, what anime matches the manga 100% anyway? One Piece doesn't have Warner Bros. Producing Luffy's fights every episode, if you understand what I'm trying to say here. Berserk 1997 had everything working against it as far as time and budget, but still made something beautiful. And that is because it is the right elements of a great story that were adapted well. But yeah, that's my list, guys. Let me know what you think. Get in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think, if you prefer some of the ones that I didn't, or vice versa, or if you guys have some I left off the list that you'd like to talk about. Get in the comments either way. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.